The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Chen Wei approached the central podium. Around her, representatives from 200 civilizations watched with barely concealed contempt the humans, those primitive upstarts who'd only discovered faster-than-light travel 3 decades ago had requested an emergency. "Session, esteemed council," Chen began, her voice steady despite the weight of 1,000 hostile eyes. "For years, you have questioned humanity's right to colonize the outer reaches. You've called us weak, fragile. You've suggested we lack the strength to defend our own." High Counselor Vexrath, a towering Cornavian with crystalline skin that refracted the chamber's light into rainbow patterns, leaned forward. "Your species has no warships worthy of the name, Ambassador. Your largest vessels are transport craft with mounted projectile weapons. Pre-atomic civilizations have better defenses." A wave of clicking, chittering laughter rippled through the assembly. Chen's lips curved into a slight smile. "That was intentional, Counselor. While you watched our commercial fleet and thought us defenseless, we were building something else, something you forced us to create." She activated her holo display. The image that materialized above the podium drew gasps from even the most stoic delegates. "May I present the UN's Thunderbolt Titan-class warship, 5 kilometers long, crew complement 8,000, armed with Mark 7th electromagnetic railguns, plasma projection cannons, and defensive systems you've never encountered. Her hull armor can withstand sustained planetary bombardment. Her reactors generate more power than your entire border defense fleet combined." The chamber erupted into chaos. Delegates shouted accusations of deception, threats, demands for immediate inspection. Through it all, Chen stood calm, waiting. Silence. Vexrath's voice boomed through amplifiers. When order returned, his voice dripped with skepticism. "Impossible. Our intelligence networks are comprehensive. We would have detected such construction." "You detected exactly what we wanted you to detect," Chen replied. "The Thunderbolt was built in the Oort cloud of our home system, using asteroid mining platforms you dismissed as primitive resource extraction. We learned from you, Counselor. We learned that in a galaxy full of predators, prey must evolve or die. Humanity chose evolution." She paused, letting her words sink in. "The Thunderbolt leaves port tomorrow on its shakedown cruise. It will be protecting our colonies in the outer reaches, the ones you've been so concerned about. I thought you should know." As Chen left the chamber, she allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. The real message had been delivered. Humanity would no longer be underestimated. 12 hours later, UN's Thunderbolt Bridge. Captain Marcus Tong stood on the command deck of humanity's greatest achievement, his hands clasped behind his back as he surveyed the organized chaos of pre-launch operations. At 47, Tewang was a career Navy officer who'd cut his teeth on escort missions through pirate-infested space routes. Now he commanded a vessel that redefined human military capability. "Status report," he commanded. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Chen, no relation to the ambassador, though she shared the same determination, looked up from her tactical station. "All weapon systems green, railgun capacitors at full charge, plasma cannons primed and ready, point defense grid online. Engineering reports all reactors operating at optimal efficiency," added Chief Engineer Kowalski, his Polish accent thick with pride. "We could light up half of Earth with the power we're generating, Captain. Let's hope we light up something else instead," Tong replied with a grim smile. "Helm, take us out nice and smooth. Let's show the galaxy what humans can do." The Thunderbolt's engines flared to life. 8 massive ion drives that pushed the behemoth forward with surprising grace. As they cleared Earth's gravity well, Tong felt a surge of pride. This ship represented everything humanity had achieved: their engineering prowess, their tactical innovation, their refusal to accept limitations. Captain receiving telemetry from the colony at New Vancouver. Communications Officer Park announced, "They're reporting our arrival with considerable enthusiasm." Taeyong chuckled. "I bet they are. First time they've seen real protection out here. Set course for the patrol route. Standard speed. Aye, Captain. ETA to first waypoint 6 hours." As the Thunderbolt slipped into faster-than-light travel, none of them could have predicted how soon they'd prove the ship's worth. In the Sigma Draconis system, a fleet of Rosathian warships was already moving toward them by a human colony of New Vancouver. 8,000 colonists who dared to settle on a world the Rosathians considered theirs by ancient claim. The Rosathians, a reptilian species known for their aggressive expansion and casual genocide, had watched humanity spread into the outer reaches with growing irritation. They saw an opportunity to crush the upstart humans before they became a real threat to send a message that would echo across the galaxy. Humanity had no place among the stars. Commander Scratha, leader of the Rosathian attack fleet, reviewed his tactical display with satisfaction. 16 warships against a colony with minimal defenses. The battle would be over in minutes, the genocide complete within hours. Then the Galactic Council would issue its usual toothless condemnation, and the Rathians would have one less competitor for resources. All ships attack formation, Scratha hissed into his communicator. Today, we teach the mammals the price of ambition. His fleet dropped out of FTL at the edge of the system, drives burning hot as they accelerated toward New Vancouver. On the colony surface, alarms began to wail. Desperate messages shot into space, calling for help that everyone knew would arrive too late. Everyone except Captain Tong. Captain, emergency transmission from New Vancouver colony. Captain Tong's head snapped toward Communications Officer Park. The young woman's face had gone pale, her fingers flying across her console. Sir, they're under attack. 16 Razathian warships approaching at combat speed. The colony's defensive platforms won't last 10 minutes. The bridge fell silent. Every officer present knew what a Razathian attack meant. The reptilian species didn't take prisoners, didn't negotiate, they exterminated. Tang's mind raced through calculations. New Vancouver was 2 hours away at maximum FTL. The colony would be dead long before they arrived, unless Helm emergency jump. Put us between the Rathian fleet and New Vancouver. Calculate the risks, and do it anyway. Helm Officer Rodriguez's eyes widened. Sir, an emergency FTL jump that close to a planet's gravity well. The stress on the ship. I'm aware of the risks, Lieutenant. We built the Thunderbolt to take punishment. Time to see if the engineers earned their paychecks. Execute. Aye, sir. The ship shuddered as her drive spun up beyond normal parameters. Space twisted around the Titan-class warship, and reality bent to humanity's will. 14 seconds later, the Thunderbolt tore back into normal space, directly in the path of the Rosathian fleet. The effect was spectacular. Rosathian fleet is breaking formation, Tactical Officer Chen reported. They're panicking, sir. On the main view screen, the 16 Rosathian warships scattered like startled fish. Each vessel was roughly half a kilometer long, bristling with weapons and armor, more than sufficient to overwhelm a colony's defenses. But next to the 5-kilometer bulk of the Thunderbolt, they looked like children's toys. Open a channel, Tong ordered. All frequencies. Park nodded. Channel open, sir. Tong kept his voice level, almost conversational. Attention, Rosathian fleet. This is Captain Marcus Taeyong of the United Human Navy ship Thunderbolt. You are threatening a human colony. You have one chance to withdraw. I suggest you take it. Commander Scratha's reply came hot with rage and disbelief. One human ship dares challenge an entire Rosathian fleet. Your arrogance will be your death, mammal. All ships. Attack pattern Delta. Concentrate fire on their engines. Well, Tong said quietly, we tried diplomacy tactical. You may fire when ready. Let's show them what humanity built. Sarah Chen's smile was predatory. With pleasure, Captain. Target solutions locked. Firing main railguns. The Thunderbolt carried 24 Mark 7 railguns arranged in 8 triple turrets. Each cannon could accelerate a 2-ton tungsten penetrator to a significant fraction of light speed. When 6 turrets fired simultaneously, the effect was apocalyptic. The electromagnetically accelerated projectiles crossed the distance in microsecons. 3 Rathian warships simply ceased to exist, torn apart by kinetic impacts that released energy comparable to strategic nuclear weapons. 2 more tumbled through space, atmosphere venting from catastrophic hull breaches. Their crews already dead from explosive decompression. 5 ships neutralized in first salvo, Chen reported clinically. Remaining 11 ships returning fire. Energy weapons and missiles converged on the Thunderbolt from multiple vectors. The point defense grid came alive, tracking hundreds of incoming threats simultaneously. Lasers and rapid-fire railguns intercepted missiles while the ship's adaptive armor ablated the energy weapon strikes. Minor damage to forward sections. Damage control reported. Armor holding. Hull integrity at 97%. Tong nodded. The Thunderbolt had been designed to absorb punishment that would vaporize conventional warships. Continue firing. Prioritize targets by threat level. The battle became a demonstration in overwhelming firepower. The Thunderbolt's plasma cannons joined the fight, projecting streams of magnetically contained fusion plasma that melted through Rosathian armor like a blowtorch through paper. Her missile batteries launched smart munitions that dodged defensive fire with inhuman precision. Each warhead calibrated to exploit specific weaknesses in Rosathian ship design. The disparity was stunning. The Rosathians fought with courage and determination, but they were bringing knives to a gunfight. Their weapons designed to overwhelm colony defenses and outmatch comparable-sized warships, barely scratched the Thunderbolt's armored hide. Meanwhile, every shot from the human vessel killed. 8 enemy ships destroyed, Chen updated. 3 fleeing at maximum acceleration. Let them go, Tong ordered. I want survivors to carry the message. Track the remaining active combatants. 2 Rathian warships, their retreat cut off by the Thunderbolt's positioning, made a desperate charge. It was brave, Tong had to admit. Suicidal, but brave. They came in fast, firing everything they had, hoping to get close enough to ram. Forward batteries, fire, he said calmly. Railgun rounds caught the first ship's center mass, the kinetic energy literally pulverizing the spacecraft into expanding clouds of debris. The second ship managed to get within 5 kilometers before a plasma cannon strike severed its command section from the rest of the hull. Silence fell across the bridge, broken only by the soft beeping of consoles and the whisper of environmental systems. Tactical status? Tong asked. Chen took a breath. All enemy vessels destroyed or fled, sir. Total engagement time, 4 minutes 37 seconds. 13 enemy ships destroyed. 3 escaped. Our casualties, none. Significant ammunition expended, but magazine levels remain sustainable for extended combat operations. 4 minutes. Humanity had just defeated a fleet that could have exterminated a colony in less time than it took to make coffee. Communications broadcast to New Vancouver. Tong ordered. Let them know they're safe. Then get me Galactic Council emergency frequency. I have a feeling this is going to make some waves. Park's fingers danced across her console. Channel open to the colony, sir. They're crying. Lots of crying and cheering. They're calling us heroes. We're just doing our job, Tong replied, but he allowed himself a small smile. Helm established patrol orbit. Let's make sure no one else gets ideas about testing humanity today. As the Thunderbolt moved into protective position above New Vancouver, its sensors detected something interesting. 37 observation drones from various Galactic Council species, all recording the battle from allegedly safe distances. Good, Tong thought. Let them watch. Let them all watch. The message was sent. Humanity was no longer prey. The footage spread across the galaxy like wildfire. 37 different species had positioned observation drones to record humanity's first major military engagement, expecting to witness the amusing spectacle of the upstart humans being humbled. Instead, they captured something that would fundamentally reshape galactic politics. In the Galactic Council chamber, the emergency session had been running for 6 hours. The same holographic recording played on repeat. The UN's Thunderbolt, materializing from faster-than-light travel with pinpoint precision. Its massive bulk dwarfing the Rathian fleet. The railgun strikes that vaporized warships in microseconds. The casual efficiency with which humanity's flagship brushed aside attacks that would have crippled conventional warships. High Counselor Vexrath's crystalline form had dimmed noticeably since the session began. Around him, delegates who had mocked Ambassador Chen just days ago now sat in stunned silence. This changes everything, whispered the Thoraxian ambassador, her feathers ruffling with agitation. One human ship, defeated a Rosathian attack fleet in under 5 minutes. 4 minutes 37 seconds, corrected the Palaxian military attaches. His multiple eyes focused on his datapad. My tactical analysts have reviewed the footage frame by frame. The precision is unprecedented. Every shot was calculated for maximum lethality. Their point defense grid intercepted 98.3% of incoming fire. The 2.7% that got through caused negligible damage. Ambassador Chen had chosen to remain silent during most of the debate, letting the footage speak for itself. Now she rose, her expression neutral, but her eyes gleaming with satisfaction. Esteemed Council, I believe this answers your previous concerns about humanity's ability to defend our colonies. The Thunderbolt was our first Titan-class warship. Construction on Units 2 through 5 began 6 months ago. Units 6 through 10 are in the planning stages. The chamber erupted. 10 Titan-class warships would represent a military force capable of challenging most mid-tier galactic powers. For humanity, a species the Council had considered barely spacefaring, just 3 decades ago. It was unthinkable. How? Demanded Vexwrath. How did you achieve this level of technology so quickly? Your species barely understands quantum mechanics. Chen's smile was gentle, almost pitying. Counselor, we've understood quantum mechanics for over a century. We split the atom 90 years before we reached our moon. We built fusion reactors while still confined to our home system. What we lacked wasn't knowledge, it was motivation. She gestured to the frozen image of the Thunderbolt on the display. You gave us that motivation. Every species in this council has raided our merchant vessels. The Rosathians tried to claim our colonies 3 times. The Caxians demanded 70% of our mining output as protection fees. You all assumed we were weak, because we chose diplomacy over immediate confrontation. Chen's voice hardened. You mistook patience for weakness, restraint for inability. Now you know the truth. Humanity doesn't enter fights we can't win. We prepare, we build, we adapt. And when we finally act, we act with overwhelming force. When this is a threat, shouted the Rosathian ambassador, his scales flushed dark with rage. The humans are threatening the entire council. No, Chen replied calmly. We're establishing boundaries. Attack our colonies, and you'll face the consequences. Respect our sovereignty, and we'll be the best trading partners you've ever had. The choice is yours. Aboard the UN's Thunderbolt, Captain Taoong walked through the crew quarters, acknowledging the salutes and greetings from his personnel. The battle had been 3 days ago, but the mood aboard ship remained electric. Everyone knew they'd just made history. He found Chief Engineer Kowalski in engineering, running diagnostic tests on the main reactor array. How's she holding up, Chief? Kowalski looked up from his console, a massive grin splitting his bearded face. Captain, she's beautiful. We took everything the Rosathians could throw at us, and the most significant damage was some scorching on the forward armor plates. The railguns performed 30% above projected efficiency. The plasma cannons recycled faster than expected. Every system exceeded design specifications. That's what I like to hear, Tong replied. What about ammunition stores? We expended about 20% of our railgun penetrators and 15% of our missiles. Plasma cannon fuel cells are at 73%. We could fight another engagement twice as large and still have reserves. Tong nodded thoughtfully. The Thunderbolt had been designed for sustained combat operations far from resupply, but seeing the theory validated in practice was immensely satisfying. Captain to the bridge. Lieutenant Commander Chen's voice echoed through the ship's intercom. We're receiving multiple incoming transmissions. You need to see this. Minutes later, Tong stood on his bridge, watching a flood of communications scroll across the displays. Sir, we're receiving messages from 17 different human colonies, Park reported. They're all requesting the Thunderbolt's presence for security patrols. We're also getting, this is interesting, we're getting diplomatic overtures from 6 non-human species. They're requesting formal trade agreements and mutual defense pacts. Which species? Tong asked. The Palaxians, the Roxians, and 4 others who've never responded to human diplomatic initiatives before. Tong exchanged a glance with Chen. They want to be on the winning side, or at least not on the losing side, Chen replied. Sir, the galaxy just realized that humanity isn't going anywhere. We're not victims anymore, we're players. Helm set course for the nearest colony cluster. Tong ordered. Let's do what the Thunderbolt was built for. Protect our people. Communications draft responses to those diplomatic overtures. Be polite, but firm. Humanity is open to genuine partnership, not subordination. Aye, Captain. As the Thunderbolt's massive engines flared to life, Pushing the ship toward its next patrol zone, Tong reflected on what they'd accomplished. The battle at New Vancouver hadn't just saved 8,000 colonists. It had announced humanity's arrival on the galactic stage with thunder and lightning. Other species had millennia to establish their power through gradual expansion and countless small conflicts. Humanity had done it in one 4-minute engagement. Epilogue in a secure facility, buried deep beneath Geneva. Earth's military leadership gathered around a holographic tactical display. Fleet Admiral Okonkwo studied the data streaming in from across human space. The Thunderbolt's performance exceeded our best projections, she announced to the assembled officers. More importantly, galactic response has been exactly what we predicted. Fear, respect, and a sudden interest in diplomatic relations. She smiled. Ladies and gentlemen, the Thunderbolt was always meant to be a message, not a threat, but a statement. Humanity will not be bullied, conquered, or exterminated. We have the strength to stand among the stars, and we'll use that strength to protect our own. What are your orders regarding the second wave of Titan-class construction? Asked General Torres. Okonkwo's expression became thoughtful. Accelerate production, but also begin outreach for genuine alliances. We've proven we can fight. Now let's prove we can lead. The galaxy needs to learn that humanity offers more than just impressive weapons. We offer loyalty, innovation, and partnership to those willing to treat us as equals. She looked at the holographic representation of the Thunderbolt, a gleaming symbol of human determination and ingenuity. One ship changed everything. Imagine what we'll accomplish with a fleet.